Hello. Welcome. This has been a webinar or a Facebook Live that's been requested, and something that I work on a ton with clients. And I'm actually just looking for one of the resources I wanted to share with you all while you listen to my dog squeak on his toy. I have been really thrown off these last few days with the time change. It's been pretty horrible. I don't know if I hear it throws off a lot of people's dogs too, where they're like, all right, it's time to go outside to go potty. It's time to eat. And the dogs are just having trouble with it. But I don't know if you guys are having trouble with that, or your dogs are now really thrown off by it, but I always am. My husband was saying the only thing I like about the fall, winter, the cold weather really is that I get an extra hour's sleep, and now I have lost my hour's sleep, so I get a little unhappy with that, unfortunately. I found my page number. There it is. Okay. So, hey, Melanie. Yeah. So it's not just me. So if you guys want to, say hi, let me know where you're watching from. I'd love it. I know there are always lots of questions in general on this subject when working with multi-species homes. So your dog might not be only trying to chase or eat the cat, but it also might be the bunny. It might be the bird. It can be anything. So I'm going to really take you guys through and hi, Tammy. I'm going to take you guys through and help you go through what to do in those scenarios. And when you have, this is really to help you out when you have a dog that likes to chase a cat but not try to harm or kill them. They are the same principles that you bring into scenarios where dogs want to attack and kill the cat as well. It will just go a bit more in depth on that latter part there. Hey, Kelly. So I am going to pull up one more thing here. So I originally wrote an article back in, and before I forget, you guys are more than welcome to type in questions as I go along. Let me give my dog a treat so he stops squeaking. Okay, you hear that? Good. There you go. So I originally wrote an article, a blog, that ended up being published in multiple magazines, 4 magazines, one of which was online, so I can give you guys access to that, and the others were printed. So one of the places this was printed in is called From Friends to Foes, so it's helping a dog and cat happily coexist together. And that is, let me just make sure I have it up here. That is in the Barks. Barks from the Guild, so the Pet Professional Guild. This was from May of 2019. The original article was printed first online in 2018, but it goes through all step by step, lots of pictures, lots of things going on with my 2. The reason why this is so important to me was because I adopted Jeter, who you've seen in my little videos, and Sai, who's about to jump down. I adopted Jeter when he was about 8-9 years old. I don't really know. It's just a guess. I didn't know about his social history, really. They told me that he had seen cats before at the shelter, but nothing. He was just so terrified and shut down that I couldn't really expect to get a good evaluation from them. My cat, Sai, great social history with dogs. He lives with, well, at the time he lived with 2, and we also had fosters coming in and out of the home. And with those fosters, the very last one before I adopted Jeter ended up being very much cat aggressive. And it just took one interaction between the 2 where everyone was safe, but it really scared Sai. And that is what prompted issues when Jeter came into the house and wanted to chase Sai. And Sai was like, oh, I'm terrified. I don't know what to do. And he was miserable. So What ended up happening was I had them originally separated out completely, and I wanted to let Jeter calmly get used to his house and his new home in a slow process over 2 weeks, and that is something I can help you guys out with too, if you were bringing an adopted dog into the house. And Jeter is small. I didn't know he could jump on the bed. I really didn't think he could. But I had him on the bed with me in general, and Cy didn't know that and jumped up, and all of a sudden they were nose to nose. And Cy ended up peeing the bed, which I didn't realize until later. So that was actually in the middle of our training. So the management did fail. So when you're looking at dog and cat interactions, the first thing that we need to do, and which I was doing with them before this incident, what we need to do is manage the environment so that both pets feel safe, because that is the #1 priority. Everyone needs to be safe, and even if you know they are safe, they need to also feel safe. So what would happen was Jeter had his own little room, and that little room, I mean, it's a room all to himself with toys and everything. And I had a baby gate up, so Jeter could not come out at Cy and try to chase him while I was, he's staring at me, while I was working on integrating them and making sure that they were comfortable together. If I was not able to be actively training them, I made sure they couldn't see each other as well. So I put up like a baby blanket over the baby gate, so Jeter couldn't see through Cy and bark at him, which would then scare Cy away. So every single time Jeter and Cy saw each other, it was in a controlled scenario, and he's gonna squeak. It was in a controlled scenario, and we were in training mode. And so not only was I training Jeter to see Cy and not chase him, I was training Cy that when you see Jeter, it predicts amazing things. So I was working on changing that emotional mindset around. So Jeter was taught a lot of foundation skills. Cy already had plenty of foundation skills from me owning him already. He's clicker trained. He does various things. He knows to come when it's called. He knows sit, down, paw, nail trims, all that fun stuff. But my goal for them was to make it so Jeter understood that he did not need to chase Cy, and that Cy understood Jeter was just a really great thing, and to have happy feelings when he saw Jeter. So what I ended up teaching Jeter was, the first thing I taught him, in addition to his name, was mat work. And I actually have gone over, explaining to lots of clients and on Facebook Lives why I love mat work. But this is one of the reasons too, is instead of chasing Cy, you can just go to your spot and relax. You're not in trouble, but relaxation. He was rewarded when he looked at Cy, and eventually I built up to he was rewarded when he looked at Cy and chose to disengage and look back to me. Cy, in the meantime, was getting fed treats as long as he saw Jeter. And it was some special stuff like chicken. If they were not together and seeing each other, they didn't get those special rewards or special treats. The next thing that we did, so I managed the situation, so when they saw each other, they were in training mode and preventing Cy from getting upset. But the big thing is I was also preventing Jeter from practicing an unwanted behavior, which was chasing Cy. He would be kind of relentless with it. So I managed it. I then taught them what I wanted them to do instead. So for Jeter, instead of chasing him, go lay on your spot, check back in with me. And once I started to get them together and I knew that Jeter was, based on his body language, completely comfortable with Cy and Cy with him, and that Jeter was not a threat either to, as far as aggressive towards Cy, it was just he simply wanted to chase and play, I started bringing out Jeter on leash and worked on control scenarios. They worked on puzzle toys together. They also worked on, when I was wrapping presents for Christmas time, Jeter was on his spot, and then Cy was able to roam around. I wrapped presents. I rewarded them both heavily for what I wanted them to be doing. Um, 4 months after doing this, again, really strict training protocol. There was one time we had an instance where it was just my bad. Cy did not realize that Jeter was on the bed with me and jumped up and got face to face, where I immediately told Jeter to leave it, which he did, because that was another foundation skill that I taught him. After that, they became best friends. I did put a second litter box in the area, just in place of being my bed, just in case. I also put a cat tree next to the bed, so Cy could jump on and off of it as he wished. And so he had extra spaces to be safe, or just to get away from Jeter if he wanted to. So he still has, Cy actually has his own room that's baby gated off that he can jump into if he wants to. Jeter can't get in there. Also, there are the various high up places, and there are plenty of places actually in the area that he can get into and hide if he chose to, where he can't be followed. And I actually see them play this way a lot. They play hide and seek, which is pretty cool. They're best friends now. If you go ahead and take a look at the article, Jeter likes to snuggle, and Cy will come over and snuggle with him. So he chooses to go and lay next to Jeter. But the big thing with all of this is making sure you manage the environment so they cannot practice the unwanted behaviors. So you might have to have your cats up in another room at first, or your dog coordinated away or from the cat, just so they can't even see each other whatsoever. If they have the chance to see each other and your dog starts getting amped up and upset, starts barking, or just is frustrated, your cat gets nervous, it's just going to set back their interactions and their emotions about the scenario. So your cat's probably still going to be upset. If your dog wants to chase, or if your dog is aggressive towards cats, we are messing up the cycle where we need to teach them alternate behaviors and to feel better about what is going on. Feel happy to see the cat versus upset. If you have a dog too that would like to attack and harm the cat, it is something where muzzle training is a must to make sure everybody is safe while you're doing the behavior change process. And in that process, you also want to make sure that you are on board with a certified professional to help you out, someone that deals in behavior in a positive reinforcement way. I am going to copy this blog post, which is also linked into the original publication through the IAABC. The International Association for Animal Behavior Consultants is one of the places I'm certified through, so you can see it where it's published on there as well. But the original blog that I wrote, it goes step by step, covering what we talked about today, but also step by step how I got them working together and how I taught Jeter these default behaviors that I wanted him to do, the behaviors in place of chasing Cy. But when you're looking at this, it's not just the welfare of the cat you need to be involved, or the dog that you need to be worried about. It's also the cat. It's not fair, in my mind, in my opinion, for the cat to have to constantly stay hidden in a way and only come out because the dog is, in a crate, because it now knows it can't get to him. It's a stressful life for the cat that can lead to lots of problems. It can lead to urinary problems around the house. It can also lead to, which I learned recently, blockages in cats, where the stress creates crystals and then they can't pee, which is a nightmare if you have that happen as with a male cat. There's another story on that one. I'm going to post this blog link in here. And again, if you're a member of online journals, you can, or certain publications, you can go to the Barks. This is, again, 2019, I believe it was May, it said. Yep, May 2019, issue 36. You will find it all in there. The IAABC publication, the online journal, which you do not need to be a member of, is linked into the blog post that I just put into this chat. The IAABC also translated it into Spanish for Spanish readers, which is pretty cool, pretty exciting. When I found out that had happened, I didn't even know. It just randomly popped up on my newsfeed one day, like, "Hey, you're in Spanish." So, and there are other organizations. APDT also printed it, and it was those three that printed it. So, does anybody have any questions about dog and cat interactions and how to set up the environment to help them succeed in those beginning stages of training with your cat and dog? He's still staring at me. I'll give you guys just a second to type in some questions. But you... Karen saying, enjoying this, but I am guilty of adding a cat to a household, thinking the cats would be happy staying on one floor. Definitely was wrong on this one. That's honestly possible, though. It could be that, I mean, you have a nice setup in your home that, and I know you do, that where they have free roam. It's not just like one room they're coordinated or sectioned into, and that they're happy and they have blanket over the gate. Yes, it is a good idea. Karen was saying is putting that blanket over the gate so that her dog can't practice that barking at the cats. But if they, I mean, are completely content, they have lots of resources up there, they have lots of fun, lots of love and attention as they want it. It's not necessarily a horrible thing. It's going to take time to integrate a cat into a household where the dog is having reactions. When it came into my scenario, Sai was a stray. He was pulled off the streets pretty much. He needed a lot of medical attention, and he needed to be fixed, and he needed food. So it was one of those things where he was friendly. Someone didn't want him, just dropped him off at a farm, and we happened to stumble across him, quite literally, when my husband was on a job working. And the owners there did not want the cat. So he was living outside. His belly was full of worms. It was a bad scenario. So it might happen where you pull a cat inside. You're helping the cat, but not realizing too that the dog might have problems. Sometimes dogs have problems with cats not already in their home. When you try to introduce one afterwards, it makes it tough for them. So these scenarios come up, and you're doing your best you can, and it's something to work on. That's all it is. But in my house, I want to make sure that they are all completely happy and content, and there's no stress, and they're friends. And that's what they are. They don't just coexist. They're best friends. And I saw that come to life when Jeter had not only one surgery, but he's had multiple surgeries with us for various things. And Sai came over and would snuggle with him post-op, and that was really sweet. I woke up in the middle of the night, and they were snuggling. So it's one of those things that it's been 100% worth it, and I just love seeing it. It makes my heart melt. Melanie, I have to do that at night for Pepper in his cage because the cats sleep with me. So yeah, cover the cage. Sometimes the cats, I mean, it's also, great that the cats now have that free roam with the dog in the crate, but you also want to make sure that you're not frustrating the dog, because I can see these things, I can't get to them. I'll bark at them, I'll make a big fit, but you're then setting back your training because, just because you're not in formal training scenarios or training sessions doesn't mean your dog or cat aren't learning. And I know I try to, I say that a lot because I really try to get owners to understand that just because they're doing well in your training session doesn't mean you can just kind of let things lapse in the real world. So, any questions with the cats and dogs, you are welcome to continue posting in here and I will answer them for you, especially when you're working with the aggression scenario. Multiple layers of safety. So you might have it where if your dog is cat aggressive and really wants to harm the cat, you can have 2 doors between them. So if you open one door and all of a sudden the dog sprints through and you didn't mean for it, you still have another barrier between the cat and the dog, so the cat can't get harmed. At least 2 barriers of safety. Then you can add in the leash too, but it can be a door and a baby gate so the cat can get on the other side. But those are scenarios that we look at and make sure that if that is the case, you are with a certified consultant to help you out with this, because it can get dangerous fast. Yes, the cats sometimes tease the dogs when they know they can't get them. Melanie's saying Pepper knows the cats are around. Yeah, they can always, you know, kind of put on like a white noise machine or something so they can't hear them tiptoeing around them as much when they're locked in the crate. But I am going to head off for the night and grab some dinner and I'm gonna be doing some training with my dog. I'm gonna actually work Cooper on some nose work tonight because I'm doing an online learning for that, and I love it. So I will chat with you guys again soon. Let me know what you guys would like to learn more about, and I will be happy to get onto Facebook Live and do some more. So I look forward to chat with you guys again. Have a great rest of your night, and hopefully daylight savings is not messing up as much as it's messing me up. Karen, Shiloh is 10 years old. Can they still learn to coexist? Absolutely. Again, Jeter was 8 or 9 when I got him. You're welcome, Melanie. He was 8 or 9 when I got him. So that is where, and I keep tossing him treats because I keep saying his name constantly in the background, which if you saw on my Facebook Lives about that, you'll kind of understand why I'm doing that. But yeah, he was 8 or 9 when I adopted him, and he had this behavior of chasing the cats. But bye, Kathy. I strictly implemented the training plan and the management plan. So with Shiloh, it's going to be a huge help just knowing that you are covering the baby gate so he can't see up the stairs and practice barking up the stairs at the cats or getting riled up or amped up for the cats too. It also, you have to take a look at if both pets are upset by each other's presence, or is it just one pet that's upset? If there's only one pet, then it makes it so much easier versus 2 pets. So, all right, I am heading off. I'm going to go see what's for dinner. Enjoy, and I will be chatting with you guys soon. Have a great one.